What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be previewing round 16 at Port Adelaide versus Carlton at the Adelaide Oval this Thursday night for a massive clash, a season-defining clash. Now, I look at this game and I've eyeballed it since they announced the fixture of 2025, and even when they re-announced the actual times and the slots and everything for this round in particular. Well, this is the biggest crunch game we've had in years. And I talk about this in a sense of, no, it's not a prelim. No, it's not a top four win. It's a game that will define the year. This is season-ending type loss. This is a season-defining loss that will grip us into a position where we play Brisbane next week at the Gabba and then West Coast at home. This is a position where Port Adelaide, they need to win this. From a Port Adelaide perspective, from a Carlton's perspective, they need to win this game. It is important. For the context of the season, crucial. It's the biggest game of the year. Prime time, Thursday night, rare prime time air for Port Adelaide this year as well. A game where you're sitting 12th. You can either be an Essendon for the rest of the year or you can be a contender. You are 2 games and percentage out of the top 8. Percentage is a big problem. Effectively 3 games out of the 8. But mathematically, and everything else combined, you're still a chance. And until then, until that is ruled out, mathematically impossible to make the 8, you got to continue to believe. And I know a lot of Port fans would have checked out, especially after the performance on the weekend against the Swans. Completely understand that. As a person, as a fan, as a person who loves Port Adelaide, I can't physically or mentally check out. I can't do that. If I check out, I don't do previews, I don't do reviews. Okay, oh well, what's the point? I'm committed to the end, and I think everyone should be. And I know that's what Ken, that's what the club and everyone would be contemplating, talking about. You know, the time to pull the pin is when you're mathematically not possible to make the 8, and that's when Ken should pull the pin as well. But until then, you've got to play and play well. And before last weekend, which didn't look like, it looked like, again, a shell of Port Adelaide. You come up against a Carlton outfit who are arguably, media-wise, probably a little bit worse off. They're definitely not in a position to be talking big smack or talking smoke. And they're not. They're fans. I feel sorry for their fans too. They're in a similar position to us, you know. They feel helpless. They feel like it's not possible to achieve anything this year. And wins, when you do get them, you soak every single second of them, because when you lose, and you lose like they lost against North Melbourne, or you know we lost to Sydney on the weekend. You know, it's deflating, it's gut wrenching, it's sad, and you know this is a game that's going to be so much more emotion in it because both teams just want to win. You know, I talk about the context of the season. You can throw that out the window as well, because both teams just want to win this game of footy. If you look at the Blues, they're coming in under serious pressure. They've had Patrick Cripps face the media all week. They've had Jacob Wiedering under a massive injury cloud with his rolled ankle. They say he's set to go and he just needs to get through a fitness test at training on Wednesday. But they come into this game against a loss against North. You know, this is the same day. We both have 5-day breaks after gut-wrenching losses. You have to dig deep, and Marco Voss is under extreme pressure. It is fitting that he comes up against his old side that he used to coach for, and you know he's beaten Ken a couple of times. He also lost to Ken a couple of times, so it's fairly even right across the board. I think it's fairly ironic he comes across here and gets a solid win. I tip the Blues because I don't feel like we're wanting it enough as much as they want to. And I will happily be proven wrong. But I don't have confidence in my Port Adelaide side like I used to for a bounce back compared to a Blues outfit who I just have a feeling will come out and play great footy, play for their coach. And I think it'll be a lot more dictating on if Carlton lose this, because if they're not playing for their coach or playing for themselves, they'll lose this game. Port Adelaide, they'll want to come out in front of the faithful, win a game, show that they've still got the opportunity, but it doesn't matter as much to them. And I want to be proven wrong. I really, really do. And I don't mean, it doesn't matter much, they don't care. I mean, there's a lot more riding on it for Carlton than Port. And I think in the position that we're in as a football club, there is a future. There is Josh Carr. There is hope. There is a horizon that's coming that it feels like it's so far away, but yet it might not be too far at all. So that's the whole mental aspect about this game. As a fan, as how you feel coming into this, and as a club, both clubs will be preparing for it. It's a massive game. And I talked about Jacob Wiedering being under an injury cloud. If he doesn't play, that's such a big swing into our favour. And, I never hope for injuries on players, but I'm kind of hoping he just doesn't play, do well at training, to be honest. We get Adelaide back this week. The injury report was released. Ollie Wines is still to be confirmed, which just concerns me a little bit because you don't list a player for a knee injury for 1 to 2 weeks, and all of a sudden now it becomes a to be confirmed. Which is, I know the 2 weeks was probably a minimum in the opportunity anyway, but I feel for Ollie, and I hope he recovers well and back next week against the Lions, because he'll be missed again. He was missed on the weekend. Rosie had to go into the midfield, and this is where I think selection is crucial, because too many passages again on the weekend. Finlayson as a sub just doesn't work. You've dropped a Hugh Jackson, who was playing pretty good footy, didn't really get an opportunity. You've had a sick Travis Boak, who's the oldest player on the list, but probably will give his heart and soul to perform on the weekend. I don't see players like Jackson Mead getting a selection, but yet he'll get gifted one. I don't see, Ollie Lord coming back into the side, but maybe he's the opportunity for it, because Jordan Sweet and the Dante Visentini duo of the rucks didn't work. That's been a talking point. There's so many wrong ways to go about this, but so many right ways Port Adelaide can do. And, I'd go, we obviously get a Lear back this week, which is great. You can take Finlayson out. I'd also bring back Boak. I'd also bring back Jackson. Mead goes out. Sweet goes out. And you have, and I know you have one ruckman, but the balance is there. I think you can have Dante doing it on his own and someone pinch hit. I know Ollie was doing pinch hitting, but he's not going to be there. So maybe a Sava goes in there for a bit. They don't have Harry Mackay. They've only got Kerno. So, that's where the balance lies for Port Adelaide. It's a very, very intriguing selection. I know Jack Lukosius is fit and has come back and passed every test, but he's got to play sample footy. You can't bring him back into the side straight away, because that'll just, you don't want that risk for the player, in such an important game. No Sandful on the weekend either really, really hurts, because it doesn't dictate what we do at selection. So I'm very intrigued to see how the Port selection panel go about it. I know I'm filming this the day before teams are announced, so it'll be very intriguing, very, very interesting. But, got to get it right this week. It's so crucial, so crucial. So a tip for this week, such an important game in the context of the year, as I said. We've seen Zach Butters come out and say he still believes. He can't put his finger on what the inconsistency is at Port Adelaide, but he still believes. And if he believes, I believe, because that man is the future of this football club, and he better bloody re-sign. He is the future. He should be the next captain. It's an opportunity now to stand up and stand firm, and it's time for Port to win a big game this year, and I feel like this could be it. I have tipped Carlton in my tips. I've tipped them by 3 goals, but if Port were to win, it'd also be 3 goals, because we'd kick straight, because we've got to kick straight to win games as well. So that's another factor we can talk about. But yeah, I'm very 50-50, very on the fence. I don't know. Normally I have a good feeling either way. About Port. This one, very, very much a grey area. So let me know in the comments below what you think, Port fans, because this one is going to hurt if we lose, and if we win, it's going to be sweet. Jordan Sweet, but he won't be playing. So there you have it, Port fans. That is my preview for this week. It's going to be a massive game Thursday night. I will be there. I'll make it big. It'll be a vlog. It'll be everything. We'll make sure we cheer loud and get the boys across the line and enjoy hopefully a good game of footy. A lot riding on this one. Very different stakes to what we thought it would be earlier in the year, or even last year when the fixture was announced. But we'll see how we go. Big night at the Adelaide Oval, Thursday night footy. I can't wait to see you there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new, for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. Thank you so much for watching once again. My name is Anthony, and as always, count the pair.